Hey, I'm Ash from Search Focused, and in this video we're going to talk about the keyword match type strategy that I've used whilst working at some of the biggest global agencies. It's a match type strategy that has won various awards for the clients that I've worked on, and beyond that, and more importantly, driven the most efficient levels of results when it comes to traffic and then ultimately conversions. Structure is everything when it comes to AdWords, and it's a little crazy to me that this particular strategy hasn't seemed to be filtered down from some of the big globals. So I'm really excited about sharing it with you because I believe that if you deploy it and nothing else, you'll see results pretty quickly. Now, if you remember the match types that we spoke about in my previous video, then you already know the different ones that are available to us. If you haven't seen that or don't know from your own research, then I'll put the video link in the description below, but I'm assuming knowledge here on that. Now, what we're going to do in this strategy is only take two of the match types, broad match modifier and exact match. Pure broad, we're not going to use at all, and phrase match, unless it's very sporadically, we're not going to touch it. So for this strategy, you can discount the two of those. Now, as you'll remember, broad match modifier helps us cast the net quite wide, and it allows us to have a bit of control because we can anchor in the specific terms that we want our ad to definitely show for. So in this match type strategy, you're going to have campaigns that are broad match modifier specific. I'm going to take red shoes as my running example. You'll have a campaign for red shoes, and in that campaign, you're going to have an ad group that contains the broad match modifier variant of red shoes. Now, what you're also going to do is have another campaign for red shoes, and in that campaign, you're going to have an ad group which contains the keyword red shoes, but on exact match. Now, having these two different campaigns, which you're going to name in a way that makes them clearly definable as broad match modifier and exact, you're going to set yourself up for efficient results, because the exact match campaign is only going to show your ad when somebody specifically searches for that string. It's going to be more refined. It's going to have potentially really high quality scores and lower CPCs, because what it lets you do is it lets you tailor your ad copy specific to that keyword. You know that your ad will only show if red shoes is searched for, which means you can put red shoes in all your copy, and that makes you more relevant in Google's eyes, which means you don't have to pay as much in theory. So that campaign is set to one side. The broad match modifier variant of red shoes is going to serve as more of a catch-all. This one might be a little more expensive. The quality score might not be as high because, as we can remember with the red shoes match type, it will show for a broader spectrum of keywords. It won't just show only for red shoes. It will show for multiple variants. And there's no way of knowing what those are, so you can't put them in your copy to make yourselves completely relevant. And the other thing is that the broad match modifier, because it's so broad, can potentially spend more because the net's cast so wide. And so the reason that we put it in its own campaign is because, number one, you don't want that relevancy aspect to have a knock-on effect with your exact match campaign, so you isolate them. But number two, you can only set your budgets at campaign level. This is almost, if anything, the biggest reason, because if you have a broad match modifier in its own campaign, you can give it its own budget and control it. The danger and the issue when you put your match types all muddled together in the same campaign and ad group is that you can't control the budget. And this is the thing that I see so many people do. I see all these match types in the same group or in the same campaign, and the system doesn't know where to spend the money, and so you're not being as efficient as you could be. Whereas this strategy of one exact and one broad match for the same term allows you to have that level of control and it's very clear cut and succinct. And you're going to replicate that for the most part across all the other types of keywords you want to show for, whether it's blue shoes or women's dresses or whatever it is that your product is. You're going to use that same strategy. Campaign for broad match modifier, campaign for exact match. And there's a little bit more, of a nuance that we could add to it, but if you just do that, you're way ahead of the game. And it's going to be the most efficient strategy that you can use. The one final caveat we need to cover, and some of you may already tweaked on this as I've been talking, is how do we stop the broad match modifier showing an ad for the exact match variant? Isn't there a crossover? Because if the exact match shows an ad for red shoes, the broad match is also going to do that as well. So why would I duplicate? And it's a really valid question. We've discussed why we split it out. How we prevent that crossover comes from negative keywords. Normally people just use them to exclude, bad things they don't want to show for. And that's one great use. Here, strategically, we're going to use negative keywords. And what we're going to do is, in our broad match modifier campaign, we're going to apply the exact match negative of the term that we have in our exact match campaign. So if we have red shoes as an exact match campaign already, we're going to say to the broad match modifier campaign, hey, you can show for whatever people search for to do with red shoes. However, I'm applying the term red shoes as an exact match negative on you, so that you don't show for that. Because we've got that covered over here, and we want that separate. Whereas you're about everything else. You're about all the other parts of the pie. And that's how we strategically avoid any kind of crossover. It might sound a bit convoluted. It's really quite simple. And as I say, if you use this, you're streets ahead. And so to surmise, to really sort of streamline this whole thing for you, this is what I want you to do. I want you to take your keyword research, and once you have defined what the keywords are you want to show for, I want you to have your broad match modifier campaign for that keyword set, and then your exact match campaign for the same keywords. And you want you to name them in a way that it's clear that this is exact and this is broad match, so you don't have any issues. And then what I want you to do is I want you to apply the negative exact match version so there's no crossover. And that is it. Rinse and repeat for any other types of keywords that you add in there. Start from there, and you already have the foundations of a much healthier account than a lot of people that do AdWords do. And that's it. Now, for those of you that want to see this beyond video format and like to see something visually, I have a free PDF on this exact match type that you can download if you go to searchfocus.com, and that'll explain what I've talked through here, but in the written word and with some visuals and examples, and you can access that. I'll put it in the link below. And beyond that, as always, I look forward to any of your comments. Please post them obviously in the comments below here. And any other future ideas for videos and things you want me to talk about, feel free to post that as well. And I'll be back with another video soon. Thanks for watching.